This is a presentation on biopsychology myths regarding the effects of alcohol on the brain. So the purpose of this presentation is to explore the biopsychology myth that alcohol kills brain cells. The myth is very common and can be seen in many forms of popular media such as television shows, and it is also prevalent on social media, where it is used in many cases as reasoning for the legalization of marijuana. Now, the myth itself is not entirely false, but it oversimplifies the situation, and as such, it needs to be clarified what the actual effect of alcohol on the brain is. So why is it a myth? To start off, it is important to acknowledge that alcohol is a neurotoxin. It can damage neurons, and with enough exposure, it can even lead to their death. So it's not exactly a myth that it kills brain cells, right? Well, the truth is that only happens if the brain cells are being exposed directly to high amounts of alcohol, and as it turns out, the body has defenses in place to prevent that. Alcohol in the body is processed by the liver, and if drinking low quantities, it is possible that no alcohol could even reach the brain, and when drinking in high quantities, the amount that does reach the brain is not enough to cause cell death. Some studies have shown that it is actually quite hard to kill neurons, even with heavy exposure to alcohol. One such study on binge drinking with rats found that after heavy exposure to alcohol, the brains of the rats did show shrinkage. After dissecting the rat brains, though, what they found was that on average, they still had the same amount of neurons as healthy rats. What caused the loss in the volume of the brain was actually the nuclei themselves getting smaller. In subjects that were allowed to recover from binge drinking, they found that cells were even able to revert back to their original size. So this shows that even with heavy drinking, the loss in the brain mass is not the permanent kind that cell death would bring about, but rather a reversible kind that can be recovered from. Right, having shown that alcohol killing neurons is a myth, let's move on to discussing what the actual effects of alcohol in the brain is. So even though drinking alcohol may not kill neurons, it can still lead to harm, and in this section we'll discuss the harm it can cause, but later on we'll also discuss about how it may actually have potential benefits as well. So one of the things that alcohol consumption does that impairs the brain without killing neurons is damaging axons. Axons are offshoots of neurons and are important for communication between the cells, and damage to them will affect cognitive processes. On studies using mice into the type of damage alcohol can do to axons, what was found was that binge drinking alcohol can lead to loss of white matter in the brain. White matter is the portion of the brain composed of myelinated axons, and these are important for quick communication between the cells. They found that myelin covering the axons is damaged due to alcohol consumption, thereby decreasing white matter. The damage to axons, though, may not be caused by alcohol itself, but rather byproducts of the processing of alcohol. When alcohol is broken down by the body, it is converted into acetaldehyde and then further into other harmless compounds. When drinking in excess, though, acetaldehyde can accumulate, and when it does, it is not good for the brain. What studies showed that acetaldehyde does is it actually has an effect on oligodendrocytes, which are the cells responsible for myelination of axons in the brain. When they found in studies using cultures of oligodendrocytes is that acetaldehyde is even more lethal to it than alcohol is. Whether it is the effects of alcohol or the metabolites on axons, though, what this shows is that there can still be damage that could lead to changes in cognition without killing neurons. So another important effect that alcohol has that could indirectly lead to harm to the brain is that chronic consumption of alcohol can lead to nutritional deficiencies in the brain, in particular of thiamine, also known as vitamin B. Vitamin B is essential for the processing of carbohydrates into energy as well as some neurological processes, and when deficient, it can lead to dangerous conditions for the body, and neurons in particular are placed in danger. What one study showed in rats with thiamine-deficient diet and chronic alcohol exposure is that it is possible to deprive cells of thiamine to the point where cell death does occur, and this is without reaching toxic levels of alcohol consumption. The permanent damage that occurs from thiamine deficiency leads to neurological diseases in alcoholics such as Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, and it's not so much due to alcohol itself killing their neurons, but rather the condition that alcohol places the body that kills them. Now that we have discussed the harm that alcohol can bring to the body, let's discuss something more positive and talk about the benefits. Besides the benefits of enjoyment, it is possible that there are some health benefits of consuming alcohol. One of the more frequently reported benefits seen with alcohol is its effect on people with Alzheimer's, as some claims that it can help alleviate some of the symptoms. Interestingly enough, when it was studied, it was found that alcohol does interfere with the activity of beta amyloid or amyloid B peptide on the synapses of neurons. Amyloid B is a compound that accumulates in the synapses of people with Alzheimer's that trigger the release of compounds that damage the synapses. By interfering with this activity, alcohol pretty much prevents damage to the synapses, so in a way, it may actually be alleviating some of the symptoms of Alzheimer's through this. Alright, so in conclusion, basically, saying that alcohol kills brain cells is a myth because it oversimplifies the situation. In most cases, drinking alcohol does not lead to cell death. That being said, it can still cause damage, especially to axons, and can even place the body into a condition that can be harmful to neurons. While it is known to cause harm at low levels, it may possibly have health benefits that are still being explored now. In short, enjoy alcohol moderately and allow for recovery between drinking sessions, and your brain cells will be totally fine. That's it for my presentation. Here's my references, and thank you for watching.